D.C., our nation's capital, where the powers that be are restless, concerned. The Nats are 6.5 out. This wasn't supposed to happen. They need Scherzer and Zimmerman and Strasburg and the Hopper to get rolling. The Marlins hit town with other ideas. It's a weekend series in D.C. This is a great time of year to be in Washington, D.C. Kids are in school, so the crowds are down. The weather is perfect. And Nationals Park should be filled tonight. On a Friday night, the Marlins are here. And the Nationals with a sense of urgency around them. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. 6.5 back are these Nationals behind the Mets. They're even further back in the wild card. And there's a lot of people around town that feel this is a big series. And it started by a youngster for the Marlins. Adam Conley gets the ball for the Fish.
You know, it's interesting, Rich. I think probably amongst fans a little more of a sense of urgency, maybe more so than Matt Williams and his ball club. But it'll be an interesting series, especially the pitchers the Marlins have to face. Adam Conley will go the first game of this series, coming off a nice outing against the Philadelphia Phillies. The 25-year-old will be making his 5th Major League start. Talking to his pitching coach, Chuck Hernandez said he wants to see a few more two-seam fastballs away as opposed to working in quite so much.
It's all lined up for the Nationals. They've got Scherzer, Zimmerman, Strasburg. It's Scherzer's turn tonight.
Max Scherzer's an interesting case this year. He's a very expensive free agent for a long time. He's 31 years old, won a Cy Young Award in 2013 with Detroit. He, midway through the year, threw a no-hitter, threw a one-hitter, so he had back-to-back complete games. Oddly enough, his ERA has actually gone up and has increased as the months have gone by.
This series starts in D.C. Adam Conley takes aim at the Nationals. Coming up. Washington, D.C., first pitch of the night. Max Scherzer zips in a fastball for a strike. Pitch a penny brings you that first pitch, and this ball game is underway. The Marlins and the Nationals. Max Scherzer gets D. Gordon, Ichiro, and Martin Prado to start the night. And Gordon swings over a breaking ball. It's 0-2.
Well, Max Scherzer extremely aggressive on the mound. Lots of strikes, fastballs, sliders mainly. He'll use a changeup. Great ERA. The win-loss record doesn't really tell it all as far as Scherzer's concerned this year.
Gordon fouls it off. D. Gordon over the last week has been opening the night as the #1 hitter in the National League, but not tonight. Bryce Harper, the Nationals center fielder tonight, is 1 point ahead at 334. Gordon sits at 333. Paul Goldschmidt has fallen back to 329. So this series
won't have to go too far to check on that batting race this weekend.
No, this will be a fun series as far as that's concerned. Count 0-2. Scherzer, one of the best strikeout pitchers in the game, and he sends that one under the hands of D. Gordon. .201 strikeouts for Scherzer. Only Clayton Kershaw is better at 222. Gordon stays alive.
I think the number that tells all in that strikeout column is the one next to it, 26 walks. So 201 strikeouts, but just 26 walks for Scherzer.
And he buries that one, and Gordon works the count back up to 2-2. It's a 3-game series. Night games tonight and tomorrow night. Afternoon game on Sunday. Nats have the big guns out: Scherzer, Zimmerman, and Strasburg. Marlins counter with Conley, Kohler, and Hand. Slow roller out to second. That's Trey Turner out there at second. And he gets D. Gordon. Let's take a look at the lineup for Miami. The Marlins at 51 and 77. JM Lexus brings you their starting lineup. You've seen D. Gordon. Ichiro's up now. Martin Prado has had success against Scherzer. Derek Dietrich in the cleanup spot. Justin Bour hitting 5th. Marcelo Zuna's in center. JT Realmuto will do the catching. And Danny Echeverria in the 8th spot. Adam Conley hits 9th. No Christian Yelich tonight. That knee continues to act up. Yelich available if absolutely necessary to pinch hit. And Ichiro climbs in, coming off a struggle in the series against the Pirates. And he pops this one out into shallow left. Desmond is out, and he makes the catch.
Take a look at that defense tonight for the Nationals behind Max Scherzer, brought to you by BMW. In left field, Danny Espinosa, he's never started a game in left, only 4 1/3 innings out there in 2 different games. Harper moves to center, Jason Worth's in right. Rendon, Desmond, Trey Turner, as Rich mentioned, at second base. Zimmerman at first, and Wilson Ramos behind the plate.
So here's Prado. We showed you his numbers against Scherzer. Fastball for a strike. Prado against Scherzer. 6 for 13. The most at bats that anyone has had against Scherzer, Ichiro. He's now 6 of 24. Of course, Scherzer in the American League over the last 4 or 5 years. Started his career in the National League with Arizona. And he bounces that one up there. And what a career he's had. He comes in to this ball game 102 and 60 with an ERA of just under 3.5. That's into right field, and Prado continues to hit Scherzer. And then gets Dietrich in at bat here in the first inning.
El Martin Prado continues to hit most anybody. A 7-game hitting streak now. Not a bad pitch. Two-seamer. It's down. Look how Prado stays on it and drives it hard the other way.
It's interesting how he clears that back foot and slides it
Kind
back.
of lifts it.
Yeah. Almost closing his body off so he can drive it to right field. Now Dietrich. Dietrich, right center field. That ball's well hit. Back goes Worth at the wall, and it's gone. Is it? No, it's still in play. Dietrich will get the double, and the Marlins get the run. The reaction by Worth led me to believe it was gone. The umpire that was out there, Dan Iasonia, signaled ball in play, and the Marlins get a double. Dietrich puts the Marlins on the board.
Right off the National League sign, about 1.5 feet, 2 feet from being a home run. The type of hitters that will give Scherzer trouble, there's a pitch up and he has to stay down, are the lefties. So Derek Dietrich, Justin Bour. Scherzer's given up 18 home runs this year.
Well, and here is Bour. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Bour last year, remember, playing here in D.C. in the area where he grew up. He said he had to leave a lot more tickets last year than tonight. But always special to come back and play in your hometown. George Mason University. Centerville, Virginia.
Well, he's done a good job against this Nationals team. 6 for 15 with a home run this year.
Dietrich at second. Bour, a liner that is just foul over the outstretched glove of Ryan Zimmerman. Obviously would have scored the run from second. That's 1-2.
Well, this coming with the 2 outs. All of a sudden, after Prado's swing, Dietrich a good swing, Bour with a nice swing there.
Got him. Fastball, but Miami gets to Scherzer with a first inning run. Derek Dietrich, RBI double. It's 1-0. By Toyota. Let's go places. By Vico Painting Contractors. For top quality work, excellent customer satisfaction, visit vicopainting.com. And by AutoNation, save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit us online, AutoNation.com. And Derek Dietrich, a few feet from a home run, settles for an RBI double. And now Adam Conley goes to work. And he'll get Jason Worth, Anthony Rendon, and Bryce Harper. The Nationals have won 4 of 5.
See the numbers on Adam Conley, making his 5th start, coming off 6 innings, 3 hits, a run against the Phillies last time out. Unfortunately, a 2-0 loss.
And it was a start, Tommy, where he had to get over the hump. It was stressful innings from the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. Once he got over that hump, though, he retired 8 straight to finish his 6 innings.
Yeah, and I think the other area that he did a nice job, he had to get over that hump from the start before when he was in Milwaukee. And he got off to a good start. First 3 innings, he had 6 strikeouts and then struggled.
Worth pops it up first base side. Bohr to the rail, arrives at the rail with the ball, and there was I don't know which Nat fell off. There was a National that fell down off the bench as he made that catch. JM Lexus brings you the Nationals line. Worth is actually leading off, trying to get his bat going. Anthony Rendon has perked up. Bryce Harper's had an MVP type season. Ryan Zimmerman in the cleanup spot. Ian Desmond at short. Danny Espinosa at left field. Wilson Ramos will do the catching. Trey Turner, a Lake Worth product. North Carolina State's at second. Max Scherzer hits 9th.
Whoever that was, it was falling off the bench near Justin Bohr. It was involved in a tag team, but they wanted no part of Justin Bohr.
Yeah, oftentimes you have guys scrambling to help if somebody's coming to the rail, not so much when it's the opponent. Bohr looked rather entertained by the whole thing after making the catch. Rendon fouls it back. Here it is, watch. Whoa.
Good concentration. Good job by Justin Bohr.
It might have been Gio Gonzalez. Rendon pops it up right behind second. It's Gordon who makes the catch. And Adam Conley has a couple of pop-ups to open this ball game.
That's some good pitches by Adam Conley. Let's check out the defense. What a spectacular play Pete Gordon made last night. Dietrich, Ozuna, and Ichiro in the outfield. Defense, as always, brought to you by BMW. Prado, Echeverria, D. Gordon, Justin Bohr around that infield. JT Real Muto had a pinch hit in last night's game. He's back in there starting tonight.
Bryce Harper now, leading hitter in the National League. Just ahead of D. Gordon. He's at .334. Tops the list of slugging percentage. A healthy .639. On base percentage, my goodness, .460. Every number about Harper screams MVP.
Yeah, that's I mean, you can talk about all the other candidates, but when you start seeing where Bryce Harper is in all the categories, his certainly stand out, his numbers.
First in runs, first in home runs. And Conley misses down low. The challenge is finding guys in front of him and around him to get hot, and that's the quandary that Matt Williams finds himself in right now.
Which you didn't think would be an issue for the Nationals when this season started.
No, I mean, Worth, Rendon, Zimmerman, Desmond. That one flipped foul.
I think the area where Harper's really improved this year is being more selective, not going out of the strike zone as much. He still will, but when you look at his numbers, 103 strikeouts, but 92 walks. this year. That's why that on base percentage is so high.
Harper reaches out and gets it over Gordon. There's some irony in that. As Harper is pushed past Gordon in the batting race, D made a leap. Harper has a hit.
Just pretty good hitting. Great leap. And you say to yourself, if D. Gordon can't get up and get it, no second baseman can.
Harper and Bohr. So a 9-game hit streak for Harper, who's been hot all year, it seems. And here's Ryan Zimmerman. Zimmerman, always a dangerous name when it comes to the Marlins. A guy that has a long history of hurting the fish, mostly on national holidays. But you see the season that he's having, hitting just .224, 11 homers. Now, injuries certainly have not helped the Nationals, but everybody in baseball has injuries. Miami has plenty of injuries, but teams that are contending, the Cardinals have had a lot of injuries. The Giants have had injuries. The Mets have had a lot of injuries. No swing. That's Dan Iasonia down at first. Lance Barrett behind the plate. Dale Scott is at second. Stevie Buckner is at third base. Conley got a couple pop-ups to open the inning. A Harper hit. And a swing and a miss by Zimmerman. Nice start from Adam Conley. 1-0 Miami. Not much of a breeze. And the crowd still arriving from all over this beltway. As Marcell Ozuna swings and misses at the first pitch of the second inning. JT Realmuto with Danny Echeverria will follow. Scherzer likes to work quickly.
Yeah, he doesn't waste too much time out there. We saw that in his 2 starts this year. 2 wins against the Marlins. And you talk about a guy that certainly is worth his paycheck this year. 22 of his 25 starts, 6 or more innings. 15 of his starts, 7 or more.
Ozuna goes down, and there's one out. If you want a chance to win a trip to the 2016 All-Star Game in San Diego, along with other incredible prizes and experiences, renew your season tickets today. Enjoy maximum savings, rewards, flexible payment options. Renew by phone 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Now Real Muto. Yes, he has been worth his money this year, Tommy. Real Muto, a bouncer to third. Zimmerman, or rather Rendon, over to Zimmerman to get the out. The question is he going to be worth his money from 2022 to 2028 because of his $210 million contract? Scherzer deferred $105 million, no interest, so it's just the $105 million, but that's from 22 through 28.
And keep in mind, he's 31 right now.
So this contract sunsets what, at age 38 for a power pitcher.
For a power pitcher who has seen his numbers decrease here in the month of August.
A liner into right center field. Echeverria's got a hit. A 2-out single, and that gets Conley to the plate, and it turns the lineup over.
Scherzer 0-2, and really not decreasing, increasing his ERA. His ERA in the month of August is over 6. Echeverria has stayed pretty consistent with this approach all year, and when he gets that little bit of a hanger, he doesn't roll over, he stays back nicely and hits it just like that.
Conley got a piece, and it fouls it off of Wilson Ramos. Counts 0-1. Adam Conley, by his own admission, is not a very good hitter. But look at this. He's 2 for 6 in the big leagues. Scherzer out in front 0-2.
Yeah, 2 hits. He's dropped down some nice sacrifice bunts.
Scherzer elevates and gets the strikeouts. 1-0 Miami in D.C.
in the National League in both Bryce Harper and Dee Gordon. The two are actually neck and neck in the NL batting race. There are also two guys that have a completely different style at the plate, and Dan Jennings says it's going to be a lot of fun to watch these two compete.
I think it's a lot of fun to watch unfold, certainly, with our guy D, the speed component that he has and, hitting at the top of the order. And then you look at Bryce, and he's got the power package, and he's developing into a premium hitter. So fun to watch these two guys. I think that, as much as they're going to get to face off down the stretch here with interdivision play, it's going to be fun.
Ian Desmond to right center. A solo homer to open the bottom of the second, and Desmond ties this ball game.
Well, you talk about a guy who the Nationals needed to get hot. Off to a horrible start, but all of a sudden Desmond in his last 35 games, this being his 36th game, hitting near 300, and that was his 9th home run over that period of time.
Danny Espinosa, and he takes the strike.
See if the pitch was up a little bit. It sure was. You can see JT reaching for it. And Desmond has that kind of power.
Ian Desmond, a guy that we've watched grow up in the big leagues. Longest tenured member of the organization, drafted in June of 2004 out of Sarasota High School. He's won 3 consecutive Silver Sluggers. Espinosa finding himself in left field. The Nationals finding themselves short on outfielders. Swing and a miss and a strikeout of Espinosa. Denard Span today was placed on the disabled list. It sounds like he'll have hip surgery. Will be out for the season. Michael Taylor, the South Florida product, banged into the wall last night. He's day to day. So Matt Williams having to mix and match, has Espinosa in the outfield. Has young Trey Turner starting at second base.
Yunel Escobar took a pitch off the wrist or hand area.
Wilson Ramos fouls it back. A strike to the Nationals catcher. Of course, the Nationals trying to chase down the Mets.
.95 on that last fastball from Adam Conley.
There's your East standings, 6.5 games. That's the Mets lead right now. And as we talked about with the Pirates down at Marlins Park, it's amazing that the Mets lead over the Nationals is bigger than the Cardinals lead, which was so huge most of the year over the Pirates. St. Louis lead is 4.5 over Pittsburgh. And these Nats are 6.5 back. The Nationals are actually 9 games back in the second wild card. Conley comes in and ties up Ramos. Good pitch. Gets a strikeout. And there are 2 outs. Go behind the scenes, social media, Fox Sports Florida. And you'll get the inside on this Marlins team all season long. Instagram and Twitter at Fox Marlins. Trey Turner. If you're a South Florida baseball person, the name is familiar, and it should be. He was an outstanding high school player, Park Vista High School in Lake Worth. Went on to star at North Carolina State, and here he is in the big leagues, driving one to right. Ichiro down to his knees battling the lights, makes the catch. A solo homer by Ian Desmond has evened the score. Transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Max Scherzer, what's the scouting report say?
All right, let's see what we have. We've talked about it. Cross the body kind of delivery with real ease, power stuff, and he does challenge hitters. We've seen sliders. He'll throw a few change-ups.
Gordon showed bunt, takes a strike. D. Gordon bounced to second in the first. Miami's run in the first game on a Derek Dietrich RBI double. It's banged off the very top of the wall in right field. The Mets tonight, by the way, are at home and scoreless in the second against Boston.
Yeah, it's a Matt Harvey start. Remember, they skipped him one turn. So Harvey going against the Red Sox.
Gordon puts it in play and finds a hole into left field. It goes. So D. Gordon is 1 for 2. And certainly a candidate to run with Ichiro and Martin Prado coming up.
And gives a little answer to Bryce Harper, who had a base hit his first time up. It's just a great example there of why D. Gordon is going to be in that race all year, picking up hits just like that. For D, hit number 158, and he leads the major leagues in base hits.
Stealing against Wilson Ramos is not a sure thing this year. 32% caught stealing percentage. Anytime you're in the upper 20s or into the 30s.
Yeah, the league average is about 25%. So anything over that, terrific.
Of course, Gordon sitting at 45 stolen bases. For Ichiro, the series against the Pirates, he was 0 for 9 and 0 for 4 last night.
He's done well against the Nationals this year. Nothing's kind of changed from series to series. So from Scherzer, D. Gordon saw the C move. That was maybe the B+ move. He has a little bit of a better one. Tough to steal too when you have to pause, and that's something Scherzer did on that delivery time. He just came set and stayed there for a while.
There are Scherzer's numbers. I think, quite honestly, those are numbers that should be discussed more than sometimes the catcher's throwing percentage.
That's a good point. A little quicker to the plate that time. So he's changing what he does.
Which I think if you're the Marlins or any team that's facing him is a good thing. He's getting Scherzer out of his routine. Maybe hurrying him to the plate a little bit. And he strikes out Ichiro. That was one of those pitches where you kept waiting for Ichiro to call timeout. He waited that long.
He waited that long, yes. This is just a good fastball from Scherzer. He's also a guy, and you have a situation here with Prado the hitter and D. Gordon the runner. Scherzer is a guy who's around the plate. So if you ever think about hit and run, you'd like to do it with the pitcher who throws strikes.
Prado had the prototypical hit and run swing with a sharp grounder into right field.
Okay, that time he paused. He waited a long time, similar to the pitch he threw to Ichiro. See if he does it every time now.
D. Gordon, a leadoff hit. Still at first.
Not as long that time with the slider. 2013 Cy Young Award winner Max Scherzer.
What a year that year. He's 21-3. An ERA of under 3.
I don't know if I ever read this, but I would guess, aside from relievers that have won the Cy Young, he was the first starter to not throw a complete game, though, and win the Cy Young Award.
The lollipop throw over to first. Well, he's thrown 3 complete games this year.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing. He had 1 in his career coming into this season.
A couple shutouts as well. Yeah, there's the sharp throw. That's the lollipop throw, and he's done it twice this inning, is kind of the setup in hopes that maybe Gordon will go back in standing, expecting it.
D doing what you're taught to do, goes right to the very corner, the back corner of the bag. Ryan Zimmerman, by the way, has done a pretty good job at first base for the Nationals this year.
Well, in the dirt, Ramos picks it up. You talked about the complete games this year. On back-to-back starts in Milwaukee and at home against the Pirates. A one-hitter, which he struck out 16, and a no-hitter, which he struck out 10. That was in mid-June. That one goes all the way to the screen, and Gordon is going to end up at second.
That no-hitter, by the way, a strike away from being a perfect game. He had 2 strikes on Jose Tabata and hit him. Slider gets away. So just like that, D. Gordon ends up at second.
It is a wild pitch. And so Gordon's in scoring position. 2-2 to Prado. Driven to left and deep. Espinosa. Gone. 2-run shot. Martin Prado owns Max Scherzer. 2 for 2 tonight. 8 for 15 in his career.
Boy, he really turns on this fastball. Scherzer comes in all that time worrying about D. Gordon. He makes a pitch that Prado absolutely loved and absolutely crushed. Two-seam in. He stays under. That's a great home run swing. And for Martin Prado, his 7th of the year.
That's the type of swing you see from left-handers on low fastballs. They drop the barrel and they have that happy zone. How creative has Prado been on his 2 swings tonight, Tommy? Remember the ball he hit to right, how he slid the right foot back, closed his body and poked it to right. And this one, he drops the head of the bat and blasts it to left.
Just amazing.
Dietrich swings and misses. Dietrich missed a home run by a matter of a foot or 2 with his double off the wall in right. And then drove in Prado back in the first. 3-1 Miami. Dietrich swings and misses.
Well, we mentioned too the home run ball has hurt Max Scherzer a little bit. That's 19 that he's allowed on the year. He's the leader in that category as far as national starters.
Justin Bour. It is one of the endearing things, and to others, one of the more maddening things and frustrating things about baseball is that you can assemble the greatest pitching staff ever like the Nationals have, and yet right now it's not working.
How about that play by Trey Turner?
Turner going to his left. Nice pickup and spin. Max Scherzer gives up a 2-run homer to Martin Prado. 3-1 Miami. in D.C. on top. It's a Flashback Friday. Submit your photo, hashtag it Flashback Marlins, and the best photo will be featured in tonight's post-game show. Craig Minervini and Preston Wilson in the studio tonight for Marlins Live. Max Scherzer, Jason Worth, and Anthony Rendon. I mean, Tommy Hutton, if you, at the start of the season, even the middle of the season when the Nationals were in first place, Scherzer, Zimmerman, Strasburg,
Gio Gonzalez,
Fister.
Fister's not even in the rotation now.
And you're thinking, all right, the Nationals, they're a postseason team. The division's down. And the Mets got a little bit better and a little bit better, and all of a sudden took off. And as the Mets took off, the Nationals stumbled, losing 6 straight in mid-August.
Well, as you pointed out, you just never know. Steve McCaddy is their pitching coach, does a terrific job, but Strasburg has spent time on the disabled list. Zimmerman has had his ups and downs. He's been inconsistent. Still having a pretty good year. Same with Gio. A little inconsistent this year.
And of course, the same can be said of the Marlins season in all the expectations and the hopes. A slow start, mix in some injuries, and the Fish find themselves trying to stay out of the cellar, battling the Phillies and trying to catch the Braves for 3rd place.
Braves hosting the Yankees tonight at Turner Field.
That'll take you back into the late 90s in the World Series matchup. Big series that Jim Leyritz had.
But not a good start for Williams Perez. The Yankees with 3 hits and 5 runs in 1 inning against Perez.
The Pirates, whom the Marlins just saw, and they were impressive, have a 1-0 lead against the Rockies. We'll keep you up on that Central race as well. Cardinals are out in San Francisco. That's an entertaining series this weekend. St. Louis and San Francisco. Cubs are out there as well. They're taking on the Dodgers tonight.
Be a big test for some of the Cubs young hitters. They take on Clayton Kershaw tonight. You can't help but always make the comparisons with Nicolino and Conley, especially when they're back-to-back in the rotation.
It's a foul ball. C.B. Buckner made the call.
One thing you see differently in Conley, a little more velocity. He'll throw 94, 95.
You know, Nicolino threw pretty well last night.
Yes, he did.
That was a really good matchup between Garrett Cole and Nicolino. 2 runs over 6 innings against a very good offensive team. And much like the Conley start, Nicolino had to navigate some bumpy water, so to speak, in the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th.
Which those situations are great learning situations for young pitchers. There's a fastball. He just threw it by Jason Worth.
5 strikeouts for Conley already. Marlins are on social media. Several ways to connect. For fans, go to marlins.com/connect. Full roster of Marlin players on Twitter. All the official Marlin accounts on Instagram, Twitter, and more. Here in Washington, D.C. tonight, a 3-game weekend series opens. And Adam Conley deals a fastball that misses out to Anthony Rendon. Rendon popped out back in the 1st. It could be argued that last year Rendon was the best player that the Nationals had. He had a terrific year. Slugged .473, on base at a .351 clip. End of the bat. Ozuna charging in, and he makes a running catch. And Adam Conley, nice shutdown inning there. 1-2-3 third. One hitter at Milwaukee, then he followed it up against Pittsburgh. Taking a perfect game into the ninth. A strike away, and he hit Jose Tabata. Josh Harrison would hit a fly ball out. And that was it. He got the no-hitter, not the perfect game.
There were some who stated that maybe Tabata didn't move, leaned in a little bit, but Scherzer was great after the game. His comments, he had no problem with it at all. He said just a bad pitch.
Ozuna blasts one to center field. That one is deep. That one is gone like a rocket to center field. Marcell Ozuna with a solo shot, his 7th of the season, 2nd homer of the night for the Fish, and now it's 4-1.
Last 2 games of that series against the Pirates, Marcell Ozuna was 4 for 8. He had 6 hits in the 4-game series. Really starting to get locked in much better. And boy, this is the kind of power that you love to see from Ozuna. Straight away center field. He hit a shot.
Real Muto fouls it back. Watch the ball just jump.
High fastball. He is on top of it. A lot of leverage, a lot of great balance.
Count is 0-2, and you touched upon the home run issues that Scherzer has had. That's 20 home runs he's given up this year. Scherzer at 95 strikes out JT Realmuto. The man who's given up the most home runs in the National League, Dan Herron, 29. Danny Echeverria singled to right center back in the 2nd.
It's just good to see Marcell Ozuna with that power. which he didn't have before he was sent down to the minor leagues.
What do you see now, especially coming out of that Pirate series and his at-bats tonight, that you didn't see in that 1-for-36 stretch?
You know, so much of it with him is selection. And not going way out of the zone. When he was 1-for-36, he was chasing a lot of bad pitches. But you know he's got it in him. And I give him credit for his work that he put in when he went down to the minor leagues. Hit over 300, over 30 games, hit 5 home runs. So he worked on some of those things.
Scherzer seems annoyed certainly by the home runs. And his last few fastballs have gone from low to mid 90s to upper 90s.
Yeah, and he has 7 strikeouts. That was number 7 for Scherzer.
South Florida Honda dealers, get you ready. Game 2 tomorrow night. Jordan Zimmerman, Tom Kohler. And here is Conley, who struck out back in the second. Little check swing. Scherzer has it. And the lollipop to first. That looked like how Zimmerman used to throw every now and then a while ago. Marcell Ozuna. Dead.
A 4-1 lead. Martin Prado 2 for 2 tonight. He's also coming off of a homestand in which he played spectacular defense. Take a look at some of the plays that Martin made over the past week. First, he started things off against the Phillies by robbing a couple of guys of hits, and then he continued that great defense against the Pirates. Turned a couple of double plays to help pull off some hot hitters like Starling Marte and Jung Ho Kang, and then finally a line drive by Jordy Mercer, but no problem. Prado's got that one too. And guys, I asked Prado about the defense for him during that homestand, and he told me, hey, sometimes you just get lucky.
He's good. He can get lucky, but he's really good at third base. You see fielding percentage, and Prado has been steady with the glove all year long.
Yeah, no, Rich, the thing about Martin Prado that above all that, the hitting and the defense, you always see him in conversation with players, talking about their game, talking about things to do, things not to do.
Bryce Harper Singled in the first. Got jammed. That's a great pitch by Conley, and Prado has it right behind the mound. Tommy, we're in for a treat. Soccer Sunday returning. East Coast rivalry. DC United, RFK will be hopping. The Red Bulls are coming in from New York. It's on Fox Sports 1, and it's sponsored by Audi. Here's Ryan Zimmerman. This, I think, a key inning for Conley, Hut, because it's second time through the lineup, and it's the big bats. He gets Harper on a great inside fastball. Now he's got Zimmerman, and then Desmond, who homered against him in the second.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that earlier. We saw him struggle with that in that game 2 starts ago in Milwaukee.
Off of Conley, and it ends up in center. And let's hope Conley is all right. It obviously was somewhat of a glancing blow. It still had plenty on it when it rolled into center. Dan Jennings is out to look at his starting pitcher. Zimmerman has a 1-out hit.
Kind of off that back leg. The right leg. Hopefully above the knee. That's what your hope is, and you hope that Adam Conley's okay. He appears to be. He's going to throw a couple of pitches. Not quite like that play last night in the Met game off the pitcher, caromed over to Murphy at first, who made a dive for it, and then a backhand flip to the pitcher, who went over to cover.
Now Desmond, who took one out to right center, got an outside fastball and drove it out for his 16th home run of the season. You see the Desmond homer right in the middle of the order. This is the second time through for the Nationals. Here in the bottom of the fourth. Desmond gets time. Nationals are 2 over at 64 and 62. And including this one, 36 games left for the Nationals, and they've got to make up 6.5 games. They're further back in the wild card with Pittsburgh and the Cubs, the wild card teams. The Nationals are 9 behind the Cubs. And that is a back foot swing as Desmond was trying to lift and separate.
I'll tell you one thing, both left-handers in Nicolino and Conley, they both come in nicely. They're not afraid to pitch inside. At times, Conley a little too much. In fact, he's going back in there again.
With a breaking ball, bouncer to Echeverria. Gordon's turn is in time. And Adam Conley gets a double play to end the Nationals' fourth. The lefty out of Washington State in control. And the Marlins on top. It's 4-1. Your local Chevy dealers. Visit your South Florida Chevy dealers today. And buy Checkers. Epic meals. Epic deals. Night falling on Washington, D.C. The city all lit up. See the lights flashing at the top of the monument. Adam Conley, who I think you could classify as stoic. A very serious guy. Breaking ball from Scherzer as a strike.
Stoic yet approachable.
Very approachable.
How's that?
And interesting to talk to. Very thoughtful.
Yes.
Gordon singled his last time up, lifts that one in the air, shallow center, and it's Harper out there who makes the catch. And the Marlins going after Max Scherzer here in the fifth. The Fish tonight have banged out 6 hits, 2 home runs, 1 near home run, and have a 4-1 lead.
Talked about Scherzer, an ERA of 1.26 in April, 1.67 in May, 2.33 in June, 3.40 in July, and over 6 in 4 starts here in August. The ERA has increased every month.
Breaking ball and a bouncer out to short. Desmond loads up and just gets Ichiro. That was like turn back the clock for Ichiro. When he first got to the big leagues in the first 5-6 years in the majors, got a lot of hits on balls like that with infielders that weren't accustomed to his speed or guys that just took a second too long.
Yeah, I'll bet you his first year he fooled a lot of infielders who maybe took a little too much time.
Now Prado. The outset of the night we talked about Prado's success against Max Scherzer. 6 for 13. Not a big sample. But look what he's done tonight to add to it. 8 for 15 in his career. The 2-run homer in the third to left. And he bounces that one up the middle. Trey Turner to first. Prado didn't get out of the box. I don't know if he slipped on that swing. We'll keep an eye on him. Here's a look. Yeah, he did. A little stumble. And a really nice Friday night crowd. They've seen Miami come in and take a 4-1 lead. Adam Conley, first pitch, little tapper, from Espinosa, and Conley calmly gets the out. So there's an out in the bottom of the 5th. Time now for our Geico Marlins moment. Jesus Taveras set a Marlins record. 2 triples in '95 and a 6-4 win over Houston. The record has been tied 5 times since.
You described this play perfectly, Rich, because you said he came over calmly, and he did. He didn't panic because Espinosa got out of the box and runs well, and Conley didn't panic, took his time, and made the play.
Strike to Wilson Ramos.
He is in a nice groove tonight. Adam Conley working in, working out, mixing in his changeup.
That ball's hit a long way to left field, and deep, and gone.
Now that changeup hit a long way by Wilson Ramos.
There have been 4 home runs hit in this ball game, 2 apiece. Desmond and Ramos solo shots for the Nationals.
Yeah, here's the changeup. Boyd floats in. Look at that center cut.
Saw the reaction of Real Muto, who just dropped his head after the ball left the bat. Busted bat, Trey Turner pulls it foul. Turner's an exciting player, and it's fun to see him in the big leagues now. He's a guy, Tommy, that he wasn't the best player on his high school team. Park Vista High School in Lake Worth.
They had a good team. He really blossomed at NC State.
And he barely got that scholarship at NC State. Some felt he might not play in college or get a full ride. FAU had recruited him. NC State came in late. And all he did was go to NC State and just have a terrific career. He led the NCAA in stolen bases his freshman year. As a junior, he was voted top shortstop in the nation. He is ultra fast.
I'm amazed at looking into the background of Trey Turner. I'm amazed that the Padres have gotten rid of a couple of talented young players. Trey Turner being one. He was a first-round pick of the Padres. And Jace Peterson, who we'll see in Atlanta, another.
Amen. I mean, that's, you look at San Diego's situation, and certainly they made a splash in the offseason. But what happens oftentimes is when you acquire a Justin Upton or you acquire a Will Myers, the guys that you give up a year later, people are scratching their heads saying, my goodness, he looked great in a Padre uniform. And it wasn't just Turner. It was Joe Ross as well, who started and I believe beat the Padres yesterday.
Yeah, all he did was go 6 innings, give up 1 hit and an unearned run.
And the Nationals in that trade, it was a 3-way deal with the Rays. They gave up Steven Souza Jr. and got those 2 guys back. That's a great trade.
There's that line on Joe Ross in that game against his former organization.
He's the brother of Tyson Ross, who is in that Padre rotation. Padres are hoping it's not like the Dodgers when they had both Martinez and traded Pedro to the Expos. Ramon was pretty good, but of course Pedro's in the Hall of Fame now. Conley nabs it and gets the out. And Turner got down to first in a hurry.
Yeah, he's this is Turner's first start in the major leagues. He's still looking for that first major league hit.
Jordan Zimmerman for the Washington Nationals. Tom Kohler for the Fish. And here is Scherzer, who has banged out 10 hits this year.
course, with his time as a Tiger, didn't get a whole lot of opportunities to swing the bat.
Early in his career as the Diamondback, a chance to do it.
I'm telling you, I think I said it with Nicolino, with each start, and you're seeing it in Conley. With each start, you just see more confidence attacking the zone with the pitcher up there. You love to see that.
4-2 Miami. One highlights, instant analysis, live look-ins from around the league. MLB Whip Around airs weeknights 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. And ever since Tommy Hutton heard that music, he's been hooked on the show. Adam Conley has been outstanding tonight. The lines between Conley and Scherzer. Conley 6 strikeouts. Scherzer has 7. Conley's given up 2 earned runs. Scherzer 4. Derek Dietrich, Justin Bour, Marcell Ozuna in the 6th. Martin Prado and Ozuna have home runs tonight. Dietrich has an RBI double. And that's how the Marlins have acquired their 4 runs. Breaking ball for a strike. Dietrich struck out in his other at bat. Mets 1, Boston nothing. Bottom 4 in New York. The Marlins are going to have something to say about the eventual plight of the Nationals, including this game. 10 between the two before the season is up. Dietrich sends it foul. So the Nationals with 36 games left. Marlins have 32 left. And 10 of those are against each other.
That's amazing. And the other thing, at one time we thought it would be pretty amazing. They have 6 games left with the Mets. And the last 3 games of their season, the Nationals are in New York. I mean, the Mets could have it locked up by then.
Isn't that ironic? Because we have talked about that series on a couple of occasions this year. And every time it's been, well, maybe the Nationals will have it locked up by then. But in a month and a half's time, all of a sudden, the roles are reversed.
You saw the shot of Matt Williams. And there's always speculation when a team underachieves. Williams in his 2nd year. Matt Williams was picked and selected by Mike Rizzo, general manager. So There's another school that says no, his job is safe. Safer than the general manager of the Seattle Mariners.
Jack Zurensik let go today. Two and two. When you add an expensive piece like Robinson Cano, like they did 2 years ago, and it doesn't turn things, they're 10 under right now. Swing and a miss, Dietrich. Suddenly Scherzer has set down 7 straight. You can guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star Game in Miami by placing a 2016 Marlins season ticket deposit down and joining the Fish family today. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com/tickets. Big Justin Bour has struck out, bounced out. Bour and the Marlins last night faced Garrett Cole. That's going to drift into foul territory, and it's run down there by Espinosa.
Remember Espinosa starting for the first time as a left fielder. He's a switch hitter. Matt Williams wanted to get a right-handed bat, another right-handed bat in there. He's played like 4 1/3 innings in his career in left field. Tonight's his first start out there.
Well, Derek Dietrich knows how that feels. Chris Coghlan knows how that feels. Ozuna, who homered his last time up, dumps that down the line, and Turner racing over makes a basket catch. There's that speed we talked about from the youngster from Lake Worth. In D.C. tonight, Miami up 4-2. All at the watch party. We've talked about the whole enchilada, Tommy Hutton.
Well, I tell you, we see our good friends Bruce and Susan right here. We're trying to find the margaritas and the guacamole.
See the Fox Sports logo? Look at the big screen in the back there.
Yeah, I like that.
Jason Worth. One more look. Anybody's spot? Oh, yeah, you see the bar. I see some drinks on the bar. There's a margarita.
Okay.
Worth takes a strike. And it's 0-2. We talked about last inning being a big inning for Adam Conley, and here he is again in the 6th, getting the top of the order. Worth, Rendon, and Harper. He's 0-2 on Jason Worth.
Remember the last time he had 2 strikes on Worth, he threw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball right by him. And notice Jason Worth, this is his 8th start hitting in the leadoff spot.
Worth lines it in the right field corner, and it hangs up and bounces out. It's a double. Well, Conley was really picking on that outside part, and Worth obliged, and he just drove it into the corner. Coors Light cold hard facts. Through July 30th and August 1st was the last day in first place for the Nationals. You see what has happened in the standings. Batting average not a big difference. Overall ERA has jumped. What you don't see up there is what the Mets have done, which is go nuts.
That was also right about the time they acquired Papelbon. Jonathan Papelbon, they put in their bullpen as their closer, and they had Drew Storen, who had 29 saves at the time, and put him in that setup role.
Rendon, and he takes out. The Marlins and the Nationals were playing down in South Florida. There was talk of filling that back of the bullpen need with an 8th inning guy, a Tyler Clippard type guy, if not Clippard himself. And of course, Clippard ended up as a Met, and so they went after a closer. And Jonathan Papelbon actually called Drew Storen and said, "Hey, are you okay if I take this deal and join the team?" And Storen, to his credit, said, "Yeah," but it hasn't worked out.
No, it hasn't. It really hasn't. This guy, Anthony Rendon, you were talking about 2014. He was 5th in the National League in the MVP vote. That's how strong his year was last year. He's had injury problems a couple of times on the disabled list this year. But from what we've been told, all of a sudden starting to swing the bat a little more like he did last year.
Yeah, double and 2 homers in his last 5 games. Count full now, 3-2. Conley's night, 77 pitches deep. Marlins a 4-2 lead, bottom 6. 25-year-olds making just his 5th major league start. Into left. Late start by Worth, and the Nationals are set up at the corners. And here comes MVP candidate Bryce Harper. A Toyota trend this season, OPS against Miami. Bryce Harper, an unbelievable 1.507. Buster Posey's had a big year, and we just saw Andrew McCutchen bang out big hit after big hit against the Marlins in Miami. Early in the game, we talked about Harper, his pitch selection, discipline at the plate, a .460 on base. Got jammed on that one.
And also improved against left-handers. Kyle Bearclaw getting ready. Bryce Harper this year against lefties coming into tonight hitting .317. So that's an improvement for him. .320 with his base hit. 5 of his 31 home runs.
That was a pretty good pitch. In fact, it was a strike. Here's the 2-1. And you can see how that call, Lance Barrett flipped the count from what would have been 1-2 to 2-1, and now it's 3-1 to Harper.
Yeah, all of a sudden it becomes a very hittable situation for Bryce Harper.
And he didn't get that call either. Harper walks. Realmuto on his way out. Dan Jennings and the Marlin dugout not happy. That one was out. That was pitch 5. But pitch 3 was a 1-1 pitch. And it was called the ball.
That wasn't too long ago, Tuesday night, for Ryan Zimmerman in a bases loaded situation. His 5th career grand slam. That one against the San Diego Padres. 24 career home runs against the Marlins.
Bags filled with Nationals. Worth, Rendon, and now Harper. Nobody out in the 6th. Miami a 2-run lead in the balance here. And Dan Jennings is coming out and going to get Adam Conley.
I'm really surprised. I know he's got the right-hander warming up. You want to get a young left-hander, a young pitcher to learn how to pitch and get out of situations. This is a perfect opportunity. He's not going to get that opportunity.
Instead, a West Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. think he's along with you. He would have liked an opportunity to face Ryan Zimmerman.
Well, Rich, your goal when you're so far out and you're not going anywhere is to learn as much as you can about young pitchers. Does he get out of the jam? Does he give up a couple of big hits? You're not going to learn that by taking him out of the game. And who's more important in your organization right now, Adam Conley or Kyle Barraclough for next year? Barraclough may get out of this thing. You're going to learn something about him.
He'll face Ryan Zimmerman, who has struck out and singled. Ian Desmond and Danny Espinosa right behind Zimmerman. And so Barraclough with the bags loaded. Miami a 2-run lead in peril right now, and he bounces a fastball. It's 2-0. Zimmerman 5 career grand slams. He went.
I think he went.
That's Dan Iasonia. Zimmerman all keyed up on this 2-0 pitch.
Yeah, he was ready to roll on that fastball. They couldn't hold it back.
Conley watches. Barraclough from the stretch. Fastball, fly ball, center and deep. Ozuna gets behind it. Everybody tags. Ozuna the catch. Rendon will hold there. And a run crosses. It's 4-3. A sac fly by Zimmerman.
Great throw by Marcell Ozuna to keep the other runners where they were, first and second. Deep enough certainly to score Worth from third base.
Zimmerman very good at that. His 9th of the season. And Desmond homered to right and bounced into a double play. Kyle Barraclough would love the latter. With Rendon at second, Harper at first. And don't you know that Echeverria and Gordon are aware that it's Harper at first and he's not being held. If they've got to turn a double play, that's a guy that'll come in hard.
Well, you do have a guy up there, though, in Desmond, who will strike out. 143 strikeouts this year. So Barraclough's gotten ahead 0-1.
This was the homer. Desmond's bat has perked up in August. Not much left of the month. September right around the bend. Got him. Barraclough with a big strikeout.
He has shown in his outings since joining the ball club some very impressive stuff. No question his fastball is live, and that was a terrific slider. That's where you want to put it when you get 2 strikes on Desmond. Try to get it off the plate. He will chase it.
Now it's Espinosa, who was 0 for 2. He struck out and bounced out. If Bearclaw can get out of this and give up just the 1 run and hold the lead, that would be nice for the Fish. 97 with that fastball. And Bearclaw used to working in situations like this. A closer in the minor leagues, the Double-A closer for the Cardinals. Marlins got him in exchange for Steve Cishek. That one goes to the screen. Or I guess here I should say the bricks.
Yeah, this ball hits sharply. You have to be alive if you're a runner at third and think about coming home.
That is a pass ball. Probably a good thing Real Muto didn't have to throw that thing after it bounced back there. Espinosa channeling his inner LaRoche with that stance. Good pitch. Bearclaw breaking ball. Espinosa shaking his head. And that caught the corner. You can see the ball on the square. That's the black. Busted his bat. Little pop. Real Muto back. And that just out of his reach.
Just didn't have enough hang time on it.
Check swing, breaking ball, no swing. C.B. Buckner down at third on the appeal. And a good call, no swing there.
Well, you could see from that angle too the nice play of JT Real Muto. Keep that ball in front of him.
Two. Friday night in our nation's capital. Nationals Park is hopping right now. The Nationals have a run. Rendon at third, Harper at second, 2 outs, bottom 6. Bearclaw. He's missed up. Now it's full. Scatter shot foxtrots.
See if he feels comfortable with his slider to get Espinosa to chase a pitch, or if he stays with that fastball, that live fastball.
Yeah. 3-2. He missed. Now they're loaded, and here comes Ramos, who hit a long home run in the 5th. well beyond Miami's bullpen in left center, up into the seats.
As a Nationals catcher, that was his 57th home run. That's more than any Nationals catcher. Now, he's not going to fare well if you include Expos statistics in that.
Right, when Gary Carter will take that. And now the stake's obviously higher. There's no safety net and no base open. A seed up the middle. Bearclaw got his glove on it and enough to direct it to Gordon, who shuffled his feet, regrouped, and got the out. And Miami, by the narrowest of margins, hangs on to the lead. It's 4-3. In D.C., Marlins and Nationals 4-3. Miami in the 7th. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Jessica Blaylock. 77 degrees. Got the world's most dangerous tape room back together. Steve Cardamone in there. Nice to have the band back together. Max Scherzer misses up. JT Realmuto. Danny Echeverria. And in the pitcher spot, Scherzer spent a lot of time watching that last half inning. And he comes out firing. And it's 1-1.
Yeah, you always wonder how, a pitcher will react. Or Scherzer, a veteran, he's been through that before.
Slow bouncer to second. Turner underhands and just gets Realmuto.
Tell you what, Trey Turner, who there are some feel might be the national shortstop next year, has made some really nice plays at second base tonight.
All indications are the Nationals have themselves a really nice player. Echeverria has a hit. Takes a breaking ball for a strike. At stake tonight in this one, the Nationals can't afford to lose any more ground to the Mets. They are 6.5 back at start of play tonight. The Marlins lead this ball game 4-3, and of course the Mets are winning 2-0. The red hot Mets lead the Red Sox in the 6th in New York. Brian Morris in Miami's pen. Echeverria takes down low. Felipe Rivero in Washington's pen.
Oddly enough, in that Mets game, they have not homered. 43 home runs in August, a club record.
Echeverria, Rendon backhands, loads up and gets him by less than half a step. Marlins may look at it, but it looked like he just got him.
Boy, this is a nice play, and he really does load up. Maybe took a little extra time, and that's why it was so close over at first base. Echeverria flying up the line. Rendon showing off a strong arm. Got a little stretch from Zimmerman, his first baseman.
Dan Jennings will not challenge, and Miami will pinch hit for Barraclough. So Rojas, who had a pinch hit double the other night, his career numbers against Max Scherzer.
Filling in different positions. Miguel Rojas done a really nice job.
Try to shoot a 96-mile-an-hour fastball through the right side. Easier said than done. Especially with that crossfire Scherzer action. Turner runs another one down. And Miami down 1-2-3. Max Scherzer in gear now, has retired 12 straight. Marlins Park, Nationals partner any park in Major League Baseball. View maps of the parks, menus, order food from your seats, access and display your game tickets. MLB.com Ballpark app. Download it today. In D.C. tonight, 4-3. Marlins on top of the Nationals. Brian Morris, second out of the pen, third pitcher of the night. And you see his numbers. He gets Trey Turner, the pitcher's spot for the Nationals. And then top of the order, and Jason Worth.
With the speed that Turner has, don't know a lot about his bunting ability, but you never know with nobody out leading an inning off. But we'll see. Martin Prado certainly aware of it at third base.
Morris throws the strike. .48 games at Syracuse. Just tremendous numbers on a short stay in the minor leagues last year and this year, and that's it.
I mean, you think about it, he was in A-ball last year. Clint Robinson, the on-deck circle.
185 minor league games, a .322 average, .384 on base, .454 slugging. That's his slash line, and he swiped 52 bags in those 185 games. He and Carlos Rodon, Brett Austin, part of that College World Series team in 13 at NC State. Morris, a scoreless inning last night. Working here, bottom 7 in D.C. To right, Ichiro makes the catch, and we check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Well, Rich, the Marlins have had to deal with injuries all season long, but that has also been the case for the Nationals. You mentioned this earlier. They just had to place Denard Span on the disabled list. And if you take a look at the numbers, that is now 23 DL stints for the Nats, which leads the National League. The Marlins come in right behind them with 22, alongside the Rockies and the Mets. The Giants come in 5th with 21. So, guys, injuries have been a concern all season long for both Miami and Washington.
I think it was a couple of years ago, a Tom Verducci article said that the new sabermetrics, or that the new money ball in baseball was keeping your players healthy and keeping them on the field. And it's industry wide. It's not just those teams that you saw on the screen. That's it. It's almost something, Tommy, that you have to, as a general manager, figure in going into a season. Say, here's my starting 8, and here's the next starting 8 in case these guys go down.
I think that's why depth is so important in your system. When you look at those teams that we saw on that list, the Giants are on that list. The Mets, as we talked about, are on that list. So you can get by with it, but you have to have some depth in your organization. And I think it's not a cure-all, but I think youth is important. You know, the older you get, the more susceptible guys are with injuries, and I think it's important to have young players out there.
And that's the frustrating thing about the Marlins here. Their injured players are young.
Yes.
Jose Fernandez, Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich. Matt Den Decker, a South Florida guy and a former Gator. He came up when Span was put on the disabled list. Gets a breaking ball and laces it into right center field. Ozuna picks it up. Den Decker with a one-out pinch hit. Jason Worth now, who hasn't been in the leadoff spot long, Matt Williams looking for some place and some way to jumpstart the veteran's bat. He actually had him before he hit him leadoff. He had him in the 7th spot. I don't know the last time that Worth has hit 7th. Probably early in his Phillies career.
They have a 36-year-old who has struggled this year. Over his career, that's what I think you should do if time is called late. Go ahead and make the pitch. We saw, I think, Garrett Cole last night stopped about halfway through his delivery. But Jason Worth over his career, and this is where it really shows he's struggling, has always been a pretty good on-base guy. But Worth's on-base percentage this year, .286.
Yeah, last year was .394. Slider for a strike. It's 1-1. Drew Storen joins the lefty Rivero. Morris out in front, 1-2. Mets lead is now 2-0 over the Red Sox, bottom 6. Mike Dunn in Miami's pen. Pittsburgh and Colorado 3-3. Bottom 6 in Pittsburgh. And the Cubs are in Los Angeles later tonight. The Cardinals are in San Francisco later tonight. Jam shot. Prado. Gordon. Oh, what a turn. Gordon really got taken out on the slide. He was at the back of the bag, and the slide hit him just as he was trying to release it, and he turns it for a 5-4-3 double play.
Yeah, we're going to show you some long balls in this summary. That one was Ian Desmond. But just as quickly, Martin Prado answered against Max Scherzer. How about Marcell Ozuna? Almost straight away center field. Good to see him with some pop. Wilson Ramos gets Adam Conley on a changeup. A sac fly was added, but the Marlins, to this point, as we go to the 8th inning, have a 4-3 lead against the Nats.
You see the National League batting race, a nice add to the game summary on the bottom. Bryce Harper at 335, D. Gordon at 333. Harper in this one is 1 for 2. See Matt Den Decker in left field. Gordon is 1 for 3. Danny Espinosa comes back into the infield. And it is Gordon who is set to lead it off. And he'll be facing a lefty. Felipe Rivero.
They got a couple of lefties back to back. And D. Gordon and then Ichiro.
Gordon takes fastball in. Scherzer's night is done. 7 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs. He's on the hook for the loss. Gordon's bunt. Rivero has it and gets the outs. 8 strikeouts, no walks for Scherzer. It's a Flashback Friday. Hashtag your photo. Flashback Marlins. Best picture on Marlins Live postgame. Well, this is interesting. And it looks like Steve McCatty is on his way out to talk to Rivero. Gordon bunted for an out. What in the world do you think this conversation could be about?
Because you have another left-hander up there in Ichiro.
Well, it
looks like kind of a jovial conversation.
They're smiling.
Huh. I don't think he'd go all the way out there to tell him to be alive for another bunt.
Or how to pitch Ichiro. I mean, I think he would have known that going into the inning.
They would have had that meeting.
Yes. There's something else up, which didn't seem too serious either. You saw them all smiling. And so Rivero goes right after Ichiro. He's got Prado on deck. Right-hander ready in the Nationals' pen. It's a ball and a strike. Remember, Storen was up. Blake Treinen is up now. Ichiro pulls a ground ball. And Espinosa across the body flip. Here comes Prado. Rand-eye Vision takes a look at his nights.
We've been taking a look at his footwork. Watch the back foot on this single. Kind of shuffles it back, gets it in position, just slaps a pitch into right field for a base hit. Now to hit a home run, you have to have a little more balance because you have to hit off that back foot, and on the home run you can see the difference how he gets it planted. He turns and uses the legs to generate the power. For Martin Prado, home run number 7 on the year.
Fastball and a strike. Prado singled and scored back in the first on a Derek Dietrich double. Marcelo Ozuna has a homer. And that accounts for Miami's 4 runs. The Nationals have a pair of home runs, both solo shots. Ian Desmond and Wilson Ramos. Ryan Zimmerman sacrificed fly for the final of the 3 runs.
Rivera has a live arm. You've seen fastballs 96, 97, those last two.
You heard a bit of a yell or a grunt there as that pitch came in. That was Prado, reminiscent of another former Marlin who, whenever it came in, would let out a yelp almost in expectation of it hitting him. Cody Ross used to do that a lot.
Felipe Rivera, part of the deal. 3 players coming over to the Nationals, and the Rays acquiring young pitcher Nathan Carnes. Rivera, Lobaton, and a minor league outfielder.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the 8th. Prado's a mess. I mean, you look at his helmet, you look at his jersey, his bat, his glove is all beat up with stuff all over it. Smacks it into center. It hangs up, and Harper makes the catch. Hit it right on the button. 1-2-3-8 for the Fish. A 1-run lead for Miami. Capitol building undergoing renovation. Marlins have a 4-3 lead. D. Gordon finishing off the 7th. Watch this turn.
First of all, he steps back because he knows the slide's coming at him, and somehow when you step back that way, you have to get a lot on the throw. He shows off his shortstop arm by completing the double play. Just terrific.
Anthony Rendon. Brian Morris gets the meat of Washington's order here. Rendon, Harper, Zimmerman. And Morris gets a strike. You give Brian Morris a lot of credit. He had a nightmare of a night the other night. He walked 4 in an inning. We talked about it the other night. Came back out.
Came back last night, had a good night.
Yeah, scoreless inning. Worked a scoreless 7th in this one. Tommy pointed out that Rendon is starting to hit. A couple hitters have shown signs of life. Rendon, one of those. Ian Desmond, another. Harper's been hitting all season long, but getting everybody else on that page and that pace has been a challenge. For Matt Williams, hitting coach Rick Shue. Prado on a busy night across the diamond to get the out. So 1 out for Morris here in the 8th. MLB.com at bat, #1 app for live baseball. If you have MLB.com at bat for your mobile device, your tablet, your iPhone, smartphone, watch, whatever it is, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, StatCast, pitch tracking widget,
and pitching changes.
Yes, those are tracked too. You get alerts. You know what an alert is, right, Tommy?
Yes.
All right. West Kendall Toyota call to the bullpen. Come on down, Mike Dunn. In our nation's capital. Crowd of over 30,000 on this Friday night. 30,892.
Well, Mike Dunn has come on, and what a job he did last night in the 9th inning. 1, 2, 3 inning, couple of strikeouts. Got Michael Morse on a little comebacker, and was throwing the ball well. Good fastballs and sliders. He's going to have to do the same with Bryce Harper coming up.
Harper 1 for 2 with a walk. These two guys from the same neck of the woods.
Yeah, Harper went up there guessing fastball. First pitch, got it. Fouled it straight back.
The Las Vegas area. Harper did not go for it.
You know, I think there are times when that's appropriate for a guy to think about beating the shift, but when it's a one-run game and you lead the league in home runs, I don't think that's the time.
College of Southern Nevada, both guys attending that school. Done a little older than Harper. Counts 2-1. And Harper swings and misses. Goes on a bit of a walkabout. Count 2-2.
Got to get him to go up that high fastball one more time. Harper with that base hit in the first inning extended that hitting streak.
Zimmerman on deck, full count, 1 out. D. Gordon. And nice work by Mike Dunn. Now he has to get Zimmerman out to get this ball game into the ninth.
Yeah, it's never an easy assignment, but good work to get the tough Bryce Harper, and then it's just as difficult with Zimmerman coming up.
One pitch misses up. Talk about Mike Dunn in Las Vegas, Harper there as well. In this last year, there have been a couple other great players that have arrived from that area. Chris Bryant, Joey Gallo. A lot of those guys played against each other or with each other in Little League. Even younger than that, Gallo and Harper were teammates when they were 8 and 9 in Vegas. Of course, the Maddox brothers are from Las Vegas. Chasen Shreve, another up-and-comer. 2-2.
I just was looking because in this day and age of so much quick information, everybody remembers when Joey Gallo came up. He had like a huge week. He ended up hitting low 200s, had 5 home runs. They sent him back. He's in AAA and he's hitting 190 in AAA rock.
It's not easy.
Not easy.
I mean, it's different than any other sport.
And I think what makes it tougher nowadays is it used to take longer for a guy to make any kind of an impact, but because of all the sports shows and everything, all the highlights, a guy can do it in a week. And so all of a sudden a week, everybody thinks this guy's an established major leaguer.
Three-2 to Zimmerman. Breaking ball. Chopper. Oh, sweet pick by Echeverria. And he gets the out. Nicely done. And out by Brian Morris. 2 by Mike Dunn. Good bullpen tonight in a 4-3 Miami lead. And Mike Kubota. For more information, find a participating dealer. Go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. Little old school behind the foul pole. 4-3. Miami on top in D.C. Felipe Rivero still in there. This crowd here, 30,000 at times, has gotten riled up. But the Marlins have taken that crowd out of the game. Dietrich to center. Harper makes the catch. And there's one out.
They're probably checking the scoreboard, and all of a sudden the Red Sox, Matt Harvey went 6 shutout innings, gave up just 2 hits. They made a pitching change. Logan Verrett came in. The Red Sox have scored 3 and have taken a 3-2 lead.
How did you know there would be a pitching change, Tommy Hutton?
Well, you get to this point of the game, it's a good guess.
That's right. Wes Kendall Toyota called the bullpen. and they head out of town. Blake Trinan. Marlins had announced Casey McGee pinch hitting for Justin Bour. And so Matt Williams made the move, bringing in Trinan to pitch to McGee, taking over for the lefty Rivero. So Casey in at bat here in the ninth. That is a tough strike one. Now Casey's behind the count 0-2. Here are the 2 strikes. Look at this.
Wow. Huh.
And you could see McGee muttering to not only himself but also to Lance Barrett. It actually has been a pretty good night for Barrett. There was that one call on Conley in the Harper at bat. Other than that, he's been pretty good. McGee flips that breaking ball into the seats.
That was the last hitter that Conley would face. And yeah, he made some pitches. You never know what the outcome would have been had he not walked Harper. It was the only walk of the game for Conley.
A.J. Ramos in Miami's bullpen. Ramos getting ready for Desmond, Espinosa, and Ramos. Desmond is homered. Ramos is homered. So that's not an easy ninth inning.
That's frustrating at bat. You battle, but you get in a whole 0-2 right away on 2 pitches that weren't strikes.
Marcell Ozuna in the 4th, and right now this is the difference. Our Warren Henry drive of the game. Ozuna rips that one into left field. One hops the wall, round first, on his way to second, and with a slide he is under Espinosa. Well, that was that looked like Cirque du Soleil on the diamond at second base.
It was a great play by Matt Dendecker in left field. Ball comes right to him, and he comes up with a strong throw. And when you're Ozuna, you're seeing that throw. You're seeing the play unfold because you're running right there. Here it is.
It's a good slide.
Dive underneath. He changed moved his hand around and caught the bag.
That is a great angle that picked up Ozuna, altering his course and sliding to the outside, avoiding the leap of Espinosa.
4 of the last 5 games, Marcell Ozuna has had 2 hit games.
Watch this.
Starts to go in and goes away and then reaches around the leg.
That's amazing. Got out of the way of that foot. Ball and a strike. Ouch. Real Muto gets hit, and that'll bring up Echeverria.
Wanted the fastball in. See, it just got away from Trinan. Big run out there. Couple runners, but Ozuna in scoring position.
Steve McCaddy out to talk to Trinan now. with Echeverria up. Matt Thornton is in Washington's bullpen. Realmuto and Ozuna with 2 outs here in the ninth. An insurance run would be quite nice for Miami and A.J. Ramos. D. Gordon leafing through the scouting report. Etch, a bouncer to short. Desmond gets the out. And A.J. Ramos with a 4-3 lead will try to save it in the ninth. In D.C., the Nationals trying desperately to close in on the first place Mets. The Marlins trying to play spoilers. Cole Gillespie into the ball game. Gillespie is in left field. Casey McGee, who pinch hit for Justin Bour, stays in the game. And A.J. Ramos trying to save it. He gets Desmond, Espinosa, and Ramos. Desmond and Ramos have both homered tonight.
Yeah, there would be times you'd say, well, he's not getting Rendon, Harper, Zimmerman, but he is getting a couple of guys who've homered tonight.
Bullpen's been solid tonight in relief of Adam Conley. Kyle Barraclough, a very important inning. The 6th. Brian Morrison inning in the 3rd, and Mike Dunn got the last 2 outs of the 8th. And so Ramos against Desmond. And AJ yanks that curveball outside. 6.5 game lead for the Mets over these Nationals. After tonight, 35 games left for Washington. And the Mets trailing Boston 3-2, bottom 7.
And we talked about the Marlins coming into this game 5-4 in their 9 games against the Nationals. Good fastball. This would be, if this score holds up, number 1, it would be an Adam Conley win, and it would be just a terrific job from the bullpen.
Into left. Desmond opens with a single. And you got Espinosa, who has 12 homers. Coming up.
Well, they told us before the game, and then you looked at some of the numbers, that after his really poor start, Ian Desmond has come alive. And 2 hits tonight. His average over the last 36 games now over 300.
Desmond has 12 stolen bases. Espinosa squares. Espinosa, switch hitter. Pops it up, and it's beyond the reach of Real Muto. Second time he's tried to bunt, and Tommy, both times when he brings that left foot around, it's almost right on top of the plate. It's out of the batter's box.
Yeah, I think if he were up there as a right-handed hitter, he might not be bunting. He's a little better hitter from the right side, but Matt Williams has him. I think he might still be, but you have to be alive. 1-1 pitch. You got to be careful. He might not be bunting here, but I think he probably is.
He squares and bunts. McGee, Gordon, and the out recorded.
Good execution. There's that left foot. It does almost touch the plate. That's close. Good job by Casey McGee. And D. Gordon has to come over a long way from his second base position.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch. Martin Prado on numerous occasions in this one has been on the mound and in the ear of the pitcher. He was there for Adam Conley. He was there for a couple of the relievers, and he was there for A.J. Ramos for a good long while.
You've got to give Desmond a look, too. He has 12 steals.
Now Ramos, who is homered. Tying run at second, 1 out. That's a strike. Boy, that was just out, but a called strike. The Marlins get one of those back. One and one. See what Ramos has done in his last 6, and that includes the home run tonight, which was to left, and that was off of Conley. One and two, and it went a long ways. You homer deep into the bullpen. That's a good homer in left center. You hit it over the bullpen and about 4 or 5 rows up. That's a real blast. And it was up in those seats. The catcher, Wilson Ramos. Desmond at second. 1-2. And he got him. Ramos strikes out. Ramos.
Boy, there's that good righty on righty changeup.
Righty on righty. It was Ramos on Ramos.
Ramos on Ramos changeup. Turns it over a little bit. Ball moves in, moves downward, and gets the other Ramos. Now he's going to have to go after left-handed pinch hitter Clint Robinson.
Robinson pinch hits in the 8th spot. 2 outs. Bottom 9. A 1-run Miami lead. Realmuto out for a chat. Checkers, get you ready. It's coming. Marlins live postgame. Adam Conley has been watching over the last 3 innings. His bullpen's been outstanding. Barraclough, Morris, Dunn. Now Ramos. If Ramos can save it, Conley will win it. It'll be his 2nd major league win. You have to be impressed as well with the work of JT Realmuto behind the plate tonight. You see Robinson 5 for 28 as a pinch hitter.
Well, and also the work of Barraclough, Morris, Dunn, and to this point, A.J. Ramos.
End of the bat. End of the game. Ball game. Ichiro has it, and Miami wins it. The Marlins take a bite out of the Nationals postseason hopes. Martin Prado with a big night. A 2-run homer to left. Some good defense. And a 4-3 final. And the Marlins continue their winning ways against the Nationals. They have won 6 of 10 against the Nats. Realmuto and Ramos proud of their work tonight. Marlins Live is coming up.